Alright, this is week 2 of the hike. First day is Woody Gap to Jared Gap. What a wonderful thing, brother helping us by slack packing. Again, slack packing is when you take just the bare minimum, water, hiking poles, a snack, whatever. You're not carrying your tent, your sleeping bag, extra clothes, extra food. All that's left with someone that's going to take care of it, or it's moved ahead for you, but you don't have to carry all that weight on the hike. Wonderful. We just flew down the trail, and we took our time, different spots, checking stuff out. Awesome. Preacher Rock. That the video, just unbelievable. The most amazing views yet on the trail, and I think the most amazing views for most of the trail. Just unbelievable. 2 lessons learned. More lessons learned. Forest Service roads aren't always open. Some are gated. The one at Jared, I'm probably mispronouncing it, was gated. That's where I was going to meet my brother, pick us up there. Well, I'm thinking he's going to go up Jared Gap Road, the Forest Service, and pick us up right there at the trail. Nope, gated. Plus, the locals told him Jared Gap is actually about a mile and a half from where I actually was. So, make sure you know where you're supposed to meet someone. And 2, the biggest problem was we were in the gap, and phone service in most of the gaps, not that good. Sometimes completely non-existent, even if you have Verizon. So, make sure you know where you're going to end up, who you're going to end up with, and how to get in touch with someone, and when to call, how to call, etc., etc. Day 9 or day 2 of week 2. From Jared Gap to Neil Gap. This was an exhausting 5 miles of the hike, because this included going up and then down Blood Mountain. It's the highest mountain on the AT in Georgia. Well worth the name Blood Mountain. Again, we slack packed this part. Thank God. Because if we carried our full packs, I don't know if we would have made it in time at Neil Gap to meet my brother or anybody, even though it was 5 miles. It was just a hard hike that day. So, that 1.5 miles I had to meet my brother. Well, my brother dropped me off and we hiked back up to the trail 1.5 miles. Of course, that doesn't count. That's not part of the trail, that 1.5 miles that you hike. So, Blood Mountain, once we got up there, deeply, deeply spiritual. I lost a partner, and I was up at the top, and there happened to be a group of men from a Baptist church that were hiking as a group that day. And there's this huge pile of boulders on the very summit, and we all climbed that, and we prayed, and I feel like crying just thinking of it. It was just so moving. The right time, the right place. Couldn't have been better. Couldn't have been better. Then there was getting down off the mountain. It was kind of hard going up, but it was definitely a rock scramble going down. I was wishing I was 20 to 30 years old again, because it was kind of brutal trying to climb over rocks, sliding down some of it. But once you could hear the traffic on the road and the cars and everything, we practically flew down the trail to get to Neil Gap. And I mean flew. Thank God I didn't break a leg or ankle going down that fast. When we got there, we had met some hikers the previous day. They were so welcoming when they saw us. I mean, we were smelling pretty ripe. Came up and hugged us, and it's just an awesome, awesome place to be on the Appalachian Trail. I mean, strangers, and you instantly have a bond. It's just absolutely amazing. I think it's going to be my phrase for the whole trail. Absolutely amazing. Neil Gap also has an outfitter store. They've got pretty much 99% of what you could possibly need or use on the trail. Little pricey, but you gotta figure. They're out in the middle of nowhere where the Appalachian Trail is, so their prices are going to be a little up there. It's also a great place to stay. They've got camping available. They've got a bunkhouse. The camaraderie there is awesome. Plus, they've got the shoe tree. This tree, or trees, are loaded with the shoes of hikers that completed the trail, that didn't complete the trail, in memoriam of them. But it's just an amazing thing to see. The tree is just loaded with shoes. You'll see it on the video. Of course, I didn't do the video the day before when it's all sparkling and bright. Did it when it was all spooky and spooky morning, which made the tree look kind of cool in its own. Also, person I met on day 2 of week 2 was Bushwhacker. He is what I consider the epitome of a cool hiker on the AT. Complete opposite of Troll on the Bridge. Helpful, friendly, very supportive, not pushy, just awesome. Made the time for people to just be there. That's all you need to do, is just be. And this guy was it. I mean, reminded me of a Southern California friend I knew. Just had the same talk, slow and easy. And Bushwhacker. Awesome guy, awesome name. Didn't ask him how he got his name. Day 3 of week 2, or day 10 total. Neil Gap to Tesnatee Gap. Of course, Neil Gap, misty, foggy. Made that shoe tree look a little creepy when we came up to it. Lesson learned that day. I can't use a cheap poncho. Was not a good idea. I'm glad I figured that out early on in the trail, and when it wasn't really, really windy and it wasn't pouring rain. Gone ahead, go get Frog Tog's rain jacket. It's a Walmart brand. But most other people were in Frog Togs. I thought, okay, well, I don't need something heavy like that. Yeah, lesson learned. Not that heavy, worth the effort. Plus, when it's real cold, that's another extra layer. But that poncho, yeah, it kept the rain off or whatever, but it was like this big balloon I was wearing, especially with the wind. Got underneath and just, I felt like a big Oompa Loompa. Yeah, poncho didn't work so good. Going through, well, just past Bull Gap, past Neil Gap there, somebody had set up, or somebody's had set up a little elf home, a little elf village. Yeah, technically you're not supposed to do that stuff on the trail. But you know what? It was welcoming. It was nice to see. It gave a smile to my face, especially when I needed it. I was kind of tired, and it had been misty, and everything was a little damp, and seeing that cheered me up. Really, really nice to see. So, yeah, it's not part of the trail, but you know what? It kind of was. When we got to Tesnatee Gap, trail magic. There's a group of people, and apparently Ellie and I were their last customers for the day. This guy made some awesome Caribbean, let me see if I remember it, Caribbean beef bean soup. Oh, wouldn't give the recipe, but my God, it was so good. Not just because it was warm and food, and it was awesome. Guy just great cook. But we gathered around, we prayed for each other there. It's just such a wonderful thing to see how spiritual everybody is on the trail and the different spirituality. It isn't just, I believe in God in this way and you should too. To the contrary, people share their spirituality in different ways. Share it willingly and don't push it on you. It's awesome. It's a way of sharing and being intimate and being free. Just something we're missing, I guess. Or at least something I'm missing. Something that was needed. So, this week definitely was a spiritual week, I guess. So, sharing in prayer, you're sharing a lot with strangers. Give freely, please. Oh, day 4, or day 11, really, total. Decided to have a 0 day at a NODA retreat camp. Great camping area. The owner needs a little attitude adjustment. She's, my opinion, too protective of what she has. If she shared, this place is beautiful. The people that work there are so nice. She has so much to offer, and she could make a lot of money. But she just, I don't know, overpriced stuff and overprotective of certain things. It just, yeah. Hopefully, she'll come around. And great place. I mean, there's a blue blaze off the trail right down to the retreat. But we ended up having a 0 day there anyway with my brother, because it was pouring down rain. Little cold, so yeah, the combination, not gonna hike in that. We actually had a fun day. We stayed in the TV room, where the TV didn't work, but we sat around. Postal was there, Hummingbird Ellie was there, my brother and I were there. We just talked and we had fun. It was awesome. Yeah, we just spent the whole day just chatting and having a good time. Without a TV, without looking at our phones. Although there is free Wi-Fi up at the lodge. Even outside the lodge there, they keep it on. So, if you sit out in the rockers and the chairs outside the lodge, still get free Wi-Fi there. So, that was our 0 day. Next day, day 5 of week 2, or day 12 total, Tesnati Gap to Low Gap Shelter. That was 5.5 miles of just freezing weather. It was freezing cold. We carried our full packs because there was going to be 2 days of hiking, and we couldn't meet my brother after 1 day. There was nowhere we could get off the trail easily to meet him. So we were going to hike 2 days, and at the end of 2 days, then we were going to meet my brother. Yeah, wish we could have flown without the heavy packs, but glad we took them. It was snowing and sleeting most of the day. I've got quite a few pics. Georgia, April, snow. What's wrong with that? I just, God, ooh. A lot of I didn't bring gloves, got that April. Well, thank God, used the Darn Tough, the wool socks, and used those as gloves. Saved my fingers, hands. But, I mean, rain is one thing. The cold, that's altogether a whole different animal. Not good. We ended up stopping early, short of where we were going to. We planned on going to Poplar Stamp Gap, which was mile and a half past where we planned. Oh, sounds like somebody's watching TV up there. Probably the dogs. I'm glad we stayed at the shelter at Low Gap, because we wouldn't have made very good at Poplar Stamp Gap. And out. Alright, back at it. Had to take care of some wily animals up there. So, talking about low gap shelter, definitely had to stay there. It was cold. It was so cold at night. Helped some guys start a fire there. Hey, tip, baby wipes, awesome. Once they're dehydrated, they still have some oil. Way better use for fire starter than a tissue. That oil, definitely helped start a fire. Plus the guys are like, we'll get the fire started. I'm like, no. Do you want the pyro to start the fire? What? It's like, yep. Showed them how this is how you start a fire. You don't have to have this mound of stuff. It's just how you do it. Simple. Anyway, toot my own horn there. Decided to stay in the shelter versus staying on the ground in the tent. Good idea. What we did, there were a couple guys, they were tent tarping. They used their tents and put it in front of the open part of the shelter. And we got a bunch of people, we could have had more staying in the shelter, so our body heat helped heat that shelter up. But Low Gap shelter, that tent area, was packed with people. There were a lot of people who decided to stay there, and glad we started that fire, because throughout the night you could hear people coming down and warming themselves at that fire and helping keeping it going. Real cold night, happened to be below 20, don't know how much below 20, but I had everything on plus, and shivering for only part of the night compared to Hawk Mountain Camp, but I think it was actually colder, and I was really thankful for that shelter. Next morning, got up, and the fire was just on the edges of going out. Got that pumped out, and I have a video of how people were reacting, sluggish and cold. It was really cold. Oh, and by the way, wind. A lot of wind during the night, and it didn't stop till late/early that morning. Well, it started up again later the next day. Day 13, Friday the 13th, or day 6 of week 2. From Low Gap Shelter to Unicoi Gap. Well, that was a long trek. We had ended up going almost 10 miles that day. I mean, and we pushed ourselves to make that 10 miles because we were not going to stay out in the cold again. Good thing about this area, the streams and springs are plentiful. It's almost, you take 10 steps, you look around, you see this little bubbling water coming out of a hill or dripping down, and ends up being a torrent about 100 yards down the trail. Actually, we were stepping over a lot of springs and streams on the trail. And we're up on the hill in the mountains, and we're stepping over streams still. So there's a lot of water in this part of the trail. It's kind of amazing thinking about that especially the Chattahoochee River. We were at the headwaters of the Chattahoochee, this little spring coming out of the ground. And when we got to Unicoi Gap, we went into Helen, Georgia, and that's the Chattahoochee River, this big, wide torrent of a river. It's like, wow, 10 miles up the road, it's just this little spring coming out of the ground. It's just an awesome thing to contemplate. Well, Blue Mountain, our big last mountain for the day. It was a rock scramble going up and coming down. And on top of all of it, there happened to be microbursts a week or two prior that took down just acres and acres of trees all over the area. They had the trail cleared, but you could see these huge trees just blown down. It looked like Lincoln logs all over the place. When you got near to any of the main roads, there were lumber and public service vehicles all over the place, taking down all these trees and making sure the roads were clear and safe. I mean, it affected a large area there. Well, day 7 for the week 2, or day 14 total. We had a 0 day in Helen, Georgia. Brother picked us up at Unicoi. Day 6, the end of that night, we stayed at the state park at Unicoi. And shout out to Jody, there, the camp host at the park. What a lovely woman. The camp hosts provide, resources for the guests staying there. They make sure, the place is clean. I wish some of the state parks around this area had something like that. I've yet to see anything like that. Just you're off on your own, and God knows who cleans up the mess. But these campsites were nice, and all the state parks I've seen down here are beautiful, and they're all clean. And I have a feeling the camp host is a big part of that. But Helen, Georgia, it's an awesome Bavarian-style town in the middle of Georgia, literally. The town was established, I believe, in 1979. And whoever put this town together, whoever decided to go with this Bavarian setting, what a moneymaker. They ought to be applauded. It is a tourist town. They actually have a Hilton, a Radisson. They got big name hotels here. And this is a part of Georgia that, not too many places you can make good money, and it's kind of poor around here, except for this little haven. Smart business people who put this together. People are real friendly. It's a kind of a trail town, but I think it's one of those hidden gems hikers, haven't really found yet. Everybody goes to Hiawassee because of the McDonald's and all the cheap stuff. You know what? A lot of good cheap eats and a lot of fun places to be, and I think better food, better a lot of just about everything here in Helen, Georgia. The only thing is, there's one grocery store, it's the IGA, way overpriced. I think everybody goes to Blairsville and way further on, like the Walmart, probably at Hiawassee to go shopping, because, it's expensive here. But other than that, it's awesome place. Plus, they got some cute shops here, too. I want to give a shout-out to Donna at Helen's Cellar. She helped hook Ellie and I up with a free ride, back to Unicoi Gap. And that was at the IGA. Jimmy at the IGA works there, but he provides free rides for hikers back. Yeah, of course we gave him gas money, well, way more than gas money, but you know what? It was cool. I mean, he didn't ask for money. Freely gave of his time, his truck, everything, to bring us back up. That's a good 10 miles, but that's a half-hour drive one way, just because of the roads he has to go on, etc., etc. Place we stayed at was the Hellendorf. Oh, awesome. Hot showers, beautiful rooms. It's got a hiker discount of half price, and it looks like they put the hikers all on like the second floor over in this one section, which is kind of cool. We got to sit around and jaw, and some people party a little too heavy that night. That's okay. No worries. It's all good. But it was nice. It was nice to see hikers off the trail and sit around and jaw and have some good food, good wine, good spirits. So that's week 2. So traveled about 32 miles total this week. Climbed about 5,900 feet and descended about 6,200 feet, not counting any of the off-trail stuff. So, see you week 3. Bye-bye.